Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on into a Tuesday edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. BJ Rains with you alongside KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust for his regular Tuesday appearance. Ton to get to today. Boise State 0-2. We had the press conferences yesterday with Andy Avalos, Spencer Danielson, Bush Hamden, trying to figure out why they're 0-2 and kind of where they go from here is kind of the topic on today's show, and looking at the biggest issues facing the team. So what's more concerning to you if you're out there watching on the YouTube chat? We'd love to hear your responses. The 35 points from the offense through 2 games, the secondary, the 1,000+ yards they've given up through 2 games on defense. What's a bigger concern for you moving forward here, the defense or the offense? We'd love to know in the ICCU YouTube chat, and we'll discuss that here on today's episode of Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com. We hope you subscribe to the YouTube channel down there at the bottom of the screen. We'd love to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter. We ask you please switch over to the YouTube channel, and it's the easiest way to interact with us during the show. We cannot take Twitter comments, so if you're watching on Twitter, we ask you to please go over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You can hit the little bell, turn on the notifications, and then you'll know when we go live with future broadcasts here at BroncoNationNews.com. If you're just joining us, we do this every morning around 9 a.m., sometimes with practice and things. It's 10 or 10:30, but we shoot for around 9 a.m. And on Tuesdays and Fridays, our guest is Jay Tust, and rotating host throughout the week, but we talk Boise State football, Boise State basketball, all Boise State sports. Jay, Bronco Nation's a little restless right now, man. 0-2 with the, a sneaky, decent FCS team coming to town on Saturday. Crazy times right now in Bronco Nation, man. How's it going?
It's going good, yeah. And I mean, I was kind of contemplating putting out a tweet about it on Sunday night, and I didn't. And then I wake up and I see that you're tweeting about the fact that North Dakota is pretty good, man. Like for a defense that has had trouble limiting yards, North Dakota can roll a little bit for an FCS program. So it's not one that, in all honesty, BJ, I don't know if you can take really anything for granted right now.
Yeah, no. You're 0-2. You got to treat everybody like that. Mike Sanford was saying on the show last night, you treat them like they're Notre Dame, not North Dakota, going into this one, because you don't really have much margin for error. So we'll see what the crowd's like. We'll see what the atmosphere's like. There's some advantages to the 10 a.m. games where you're done earlier in the day, but in terms of the atmosphere, the tailgating, the 10 a.m. games are just a little rough for everybody involved. The early wake up call. I'm not used to. Don't like setting an alarm to cover a Saturday football game. It's a weird feeling that we've had to do a couple of times. We've had the 9 a.m. games on the road and things like that. So at least this game is at 10 a.m. at home. But I posed the question on the chat. We talked to the coaches yesterday. Jay, where are you at in terms of this 0-2 start? And again, I get it. It's the best 2 teams are probably going to play all year, but the stats are what they are. The record is what it is, and it's what we have to go off right now. They're 0-2. The bigger concern for you, is it the offense, 35 points in 2 games, or is it the defense giving up 500 yards in each of the first 2 games? You're muted, Jay.
You could really go either way with that there, BJ. It's a there's so much talk about the standard and all that stuff, and it's thrown around a lot. It's one of the buzzwords of the Boise State football program, and it has been, for the last couple of years. And I think when you talk about the standard, right, I know that the level of competition has not been easy to start the season. I know that UW is one of the best teams in the country. I know that UCF is going to be a really talented football team that wins a lot of football games. But I think when you talk about the standard, right, as it applies to this Boise State football program, that you do just expect a little bit more. And I think that's okay. I think that you can have it both ways. I think that you can be fair and critical at the same time. And I think that the alarm, I would say the thing that alarms me most, and I said this prior to the game, it wasn't necessarily getting a win against UCF. It was protecting the blue against a really good opponent. And when you look at what they've done on the blue, over the last few years, I think that I can fairly say, and it's not even really too debatable, that they have not met the standard of protecting the blue over the last few years. They take a lot of pride in playing at home and their blue playing surface, and they've got to start winning at a higher rate again at home on the blue.
8-6, man. 8-6 at home. And again, I know times were different. I know the opponents were different, but they had a stretch, as I said, I've been saying a lot lately, from 1999 to 2014, where they went 104 at home. I get it. They're bringing in better competition. Yep. The conference games are harder too. I get it. But they had a 15-year stretch where they lost 4 home games in 15 years, and they've now lost 6 in the last 2+ years.
Yeah, and let's not forget, BJ, there was another very good opponent on their schedule last year. And I mean, we could play ifs and whats all day, but they're 8-6. Had Michigan State came to Boise last year, I think there's a very good chance that 8-6 could be 7-7 right now. And that instead they get an FCS opponent where, they were able to, beat UT Martin pretty good. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's, they've got to get back to that, man. I feel like that, out of everything we've talked about, is the fabric of the program. It's what needs to happen. They need to be better at home. They do. They talk about mystique. They talk about how tough it is to play here. Opponents, man, we heard about it as much last week as we have in a long, long time, BJ, about how unique the blue is and how it's unfair and all these things. Like, well, what makes it unfair is winning on it at an incredibly high clip. And out of everything that's going on right now, that's probably where the standard has to be met and where you have to build from, because that again, it is what defines this program. It's what makes it unique. It's what everybody talks about. It's what even non-football fans come to Boise, and it's what they want to come look at, right? Like that's something that they have to get back to and need to do a better job of protecting the blue.
The Tequila Gus chimes in on the ICCU YouTube chat. Jay, think Bush needs to cook a little bit. The offense is going to get it together. The D is Dairy Queen soft in the middle. Bill says, should the panic level be higher than it was after UTEP?
No, it shouldn't be. But that's as of right now. Things can change in a hurry. If this team truly, we speculated it as far back as when we first saw this schedule, because we knew it was not going to be an easy schedule.
Yeah.
But if this team is 1-4 after December, then that's not going to be a good situation for the program, obviously.
Boise says the magic on the blue is over, guys.
I don't think it is over. I really don't, because I think that we saw last week, it had nothing to do with even what Boise State fans were saying. It was everything about an opposing fan base. I don't think the magic of the blue is over. Like it can still be there, but it is up to the team to protect it. And that is what has to happen.
Adam says protecting home should be stressed over and over. Protecting the blue should be number one priority. Let's see. Not good. 10 a.m. Lots of people have kids. Sports going on in the morning. The crowd will be small.
I actually think that, BJ, I think the crowd's going to be okay. I really do. Like, I've had a lot of people text me this week and say, are they going to get 20,000 people? They start from zero for the Mountain West Conference Championship game when it's 3 degrees outside and still get over 20,000. I mean, I think that they've known that this game is going to be a tough ticket for a long, long time, considering the opponent. I'm not even going to say considering the time. It's just FCS. People want to dismiss that as an opponent they want to go see. So
sure.
I'm going to assume that they've had a plan in place for quite some time now to get as many people in the stands for this game, as possible.
Our friend Derek Morales wants to know, Jay, do we think this team is better than the team that lost to Fresno State in the title game?
Man,
I guess last year's team, because they've lost to Fresno State twice in the title game. But I guess we're talking about last year.
I don't know if they are. I had that team had Scott Matlock on it, and I think he would make the world of difference right now on the defensive line. And you go back and you look at how many bodies they played on that defensive front against UCF, and I know Spencer Danielson said that UCF, they go at such a tempo that it makes it really hard to sub. Well, they still found a way to sub defensive backs, and it would be a case where like Ty Benefield would start the drive, and then finally, if there was an incompletion, midway through, you'd see Rodney Robinson or vice versa, something like that happen where they were able to kind of sub with their corners and defensive backs. But they didn't, especially at the end positions. I mean, Dimitri Washington and Ahmed Hassanin, they almost played the entire game at defensive end spots. It's really funny. Like, I put that out there on Twitter, and somebody's like, "This is their job. They should play 100% of the time." Well, that's dumb, because there are few, if any, that do. Like,
yeah,
that is what makes defensive lines good, is when you can keep guys fresh, rotate in bodies. If you want to know why Boise State's defensive line was so good, in 2010, 2011, they had multiple NFL dudes that they could roll through. So their second string was like zero drop off from their first, or very, very little. And, right now, I just don't know if we have necessarily seen that. There is a drop off, and heck, there's a drop off from the ones last year to the ones this year, simply because you don't have Scott Matlock anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a and you don't have Skinner. I mean, and this is crazy, man. It's a lot of discussions, a lot of thoughts that we typically don't have around here. A team being 0-2 again. No one's had this talk, them being 0-2 since 2005. So we're having a conversation. We're having a conversation right now that literally nobody has had about Boise State football in 18 years. I mean, how this team is 0-2. And again, I get it, the competition level. What is your confidence level, Jay, that Andy Avalos is whether he believes it, whether he's just got to say it because he's the head coach, truly believes that, like, when the season's over, this team is still going to have a good record and be a good team. I mean, Kent Riddle said it on our post-game show and got blasted for being a homer, but Kent said, who's beating this team? Like, who else is beating this team? He said, I still think this is a very good team. It's a product of a tough schedule, and we're going to look up and they're 9-3 or 10-2 and win in the Mountain West Championship game. What is your confidence level that 2 months from now we're talking about a much different story versus this team being 5-3 or whatever and having some issues here? Well, I guess how much of it is a product of the schedule versus how much of it is, do they seriously have some issues here that could linger?
Again, man, I know this isn't, when we say stuff like this is not as hot of a take, but I think both can be true. Once again, like, I do agree with Kent in that sense, man. Like, when you look at their schedule, they're not going to play teams as tough as this. I'm not dismissing the trip to Memphis because it's a darn near cross country flight, after a week after you open up conference play, which is always guaranteed to be a physical game against San Diego State. And so I'm not dismissing that, but
yeah,
I do see that. And that's what I probably think why, whether he would say it or not, why Andy Avalos says, we're going to have a good season still. Like, we're going to have a good team.
Sure.
I think that they've been swinging with the weighted bat on, or the weight on the bat, right, BJ? You get in the on deck circle. It doesn't feel like you're swinging that fast because you got a weight on the end of your bat, and then you pop that thing off, and now it feels like you can swing a bat 1,000,000 miles an hour. Well, given their level of competition, they're about to take the donut off the bat. I think they're going to feel pretty confident about themselves, whether it be this weekend or moving forward. But I'm also not. I'm also not just going to give a complete free pass. Like, they absolutely have to show up and play a great game this Sunday. Like Saturday. This Saturday is like one of the most important games of the season, because I think that they are teetering on playing with the level of confidence of this team. And if this game goes, to halftime at 13-7 or some, real single score game or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you're going to start to really play with the confidence of what you're trying to do, whether you're a coach or you're a player. And so this needs to be a game where they, from the get-go, from the jump, a sack on the first or second play, 3rd and long, and then all of a sudden just go right down the field on them and score, and do that like time and time again. It needs to be, 31-7 at halftime or something like.
That's what fans want, man. I've been seeing it in the chat. I've been seeing it all week. Like, a win is almost not good enough in this game. You need to win convincingly to show that you are a good team.
I think that's the case. And again, it's not. I feel like it has they don't need to prove that they need confidence from their fans. They need to prove confidence within themselves. Like that is the necessary ingredient to move this thing forward. And I think that some people look at Andy Avalos a little wide-eyed or cockeyed when they look at the improvements from game 1 to game 2, and he was kind of adamant about that. But there certainly were. Rodney Robinson played better. Alexander Tubner played better. Yes, there were still big plays allowed, but those guys did play better. They did make a step forward. I think that, in some cases it's guys trying to do too much, and you need to put on the cape and be the hero of a defense that might not be as talented or as experienced as past defenses that you've played on, but because you're trying to do that,
sure,
you're giving up big explosive plays. And so it's such a cliche that I almost hate hearing, but man, it does have meaning. Everybody on that defense has to start doing their 1/11. You don't need to be a superhero. You need to take care of the routine before you worry about anything beyond that. And once you start taking care of the routine and finding your rhythm that way, then you can start trying to, go out and make plays knowing that maybe somebody has your back. But right now it is all about taking care of the routine and doing the simple things on defense.
Well, I want to talk about Talon Green and where he's at right now in the season. But first, I obviously want to tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. BVA Ball Ventures Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. At BVA, they strive to inspire excellence in everything they do, from leasing and architecture to construction and property management. BVA's dedicated teams are the best in class. They provide unparalleled service to help you and your client find the perfect building tailored to their needs. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the Valley. Check them out, BVA, and we appreciate Tommy Alquist and company for jumping on board as a sponsor. We appreciate Taco Bell as well, the Nicolason family, SON Management. They've donated more than $300,000 or committed in the next couple of years here to the men's and women's basketball team, student athlete scholarships. So they are helping literally get student athletes to Boise State and paying for their schooling and their scholarships. So return the favor when you're looking for a lunch or dinner or just a meal. Go head over to Taco Bell. 19 freestanding Taco Bell stores in the Treasure Valley from Burley to Ontario. Check them out, Taco Bell. And again, you can get more information on what they're doing for the local community at TacoBellWorks.com. Cutwater Spirits, our mobile studios, more than 30 flavors of premixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. You can get 2 for $7. I highly recommend the Long Island iced tea, the margaritas, great stuff there. Cutwater Spirits. We appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News. RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. You heard Coach Leon Rice talking about getting his garage floor done at RowPaint.com, and they're doing great work right now. So we appreciate RowPaint.com. You can check them out, ROEPaint.com. And that's 5 times stronger than epoxy. The one-day install. Get more information. They'll come out for free and talk you through the process at ROEPaint.com. Lithia Ford of Boise. We were there on Friday. Had a good time, Jay, broadcasting with the F-150 Lightning. I just had my vehicle serviced there. The process was so easy and quick, and they can help you out. Even if you don't purchase from them, you can take your vehicle in there to get serviced at Lithia Ford of Boise. Kyle, the service technician there, helped me every step of the way. They even sent an Uber to pick me up and brought me back when the vehicle was ready. So we appreciate everybody at Lithia Ford of Boise. And of course, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. the best in mobile e-branch online banking. If you're looking for a new bank or just unhappy with the current system you have, I highly recommend ICCU.com. It's so easy to move money around, so easy to use, and their interface, their app. Just we're so happy that we made the switch for BNN and the Reigns family. So you can get more information, ICCU.com. And again, every local high school, the scoreboard, a lot of the naming rights in the state here, they're doing a lot for the local community. So you can get more information. Check them out, ICCU.com. All right, Jay, you had the stat on Taylor Green in the press conference yesterday. I think he said 1 of 10 on throws beyond 10 yards. And I didn't know the exact numbers, but I was just thinking about it the other day before you said that. And a lot of Taylor Green's passing yards have come on screenplays and the shovel pass, and he's getting some yards, but they're not necessarily on deep throws down the field. First of all, in 2 games, only attempting 10 passes of beyond 10 yards. To me, that's the first problem. Then only completing 1 of those is another problem. The downfield passing attack, is that on Green? Is that on the receivers? Where are you at, I guess, just with because, Ashton Genty's great, but teams are going to start loading the box if you can't show you can pass the ball down the field.
Yeah, it's 1 of 10 on throws of 20 or more yards.
20 or more. Okay.
I will say that there probably have been a couple of what you would consider drops on those throws, but overall 1 of 10. I don't care if receivers aren't catching or if quarterbacks aren't being accurate. 1 of 10 that's got to get better. It has to get better. No, you're not expecting to complete some crazy 60% of those throws. Those are the throws that are a higher degree of difficulty. And I understand even that the sample size isn't huge, but when you only get 12 Saturdays guaranteed to play a football game, BJ, 2 games is 16.7% of your schedule or your season, that is. And so you really don't have time to just ease into the season. You have to execute at a higher clip than what they have been able to execute at so far. And in order to grow this thing forward, as Andy Avalos says, that is an area they have to be better. And I think it is a harsh reality, man. Ashton Genty has been incredible after the catch. I think he actually has more yards after the catch than he does receiving yards because he catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage so often, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at, I think Taylor has 388 passing yards this season. I don't remember the number exactly off the top of my head. I think it is 193 have came off of Ashton Genty passes, right? Which again, 100 and almost 1% of Ashton's receiving yards are yak yards.
Yeah, the wheel route had the 1 touchdown on the wheel route. You had the big play against Washington on the screen pass. Yeah. It's, but Taylor Green in general, and Mike Prater wrote about him, that we just posted the column at BroncoNationNews.com. You can read about Mike Prater's unfiltered thoughts on Taylor Green and where he's at through 2 games. And again, you can use our new promo code. It's 20 off. Just 20 off gets you $20 off a year subscription to BNN. So $50 for 1 year subscription. You can read Jordan Prater, myself. Again, 20 off's the promo code. Go do that now on the yearly subscription. Get it for $50 and read Mike Prater's thoughts on Taylor Green. And, there's a lot going on. I know it looked like he rolled his ankle at one point during that game, was getting that taped up. And we hear about the cramps as well. But overall, he's got more interceptions and touchdowns, I believe, through 2 games. We mentioned the passing yards. The completion percentage is less than 50%. For all the off-season talk and hype and everything going on, I know it's the 2 best teams they are going to play, but you need a little more from your quarterback here.
You probably do. It's interesting how quickly the script can flip because there are too many drops in the season opener. I mean, that was clear. And then at times, you go back and you look at last week, and whether it be cramps, a rolled ankle, one reason or the other, there were times where Taylor wasn't exactly accurate. I think the crushing play in that game was not the last second field goal. It wasn't, the touchdown that UCF scored in the 4th quarter. The crushing play, the play that you set up by not going for it at the end of the second half. And what I mean by that is you get the ball back with a minute to go in the second half, 75 yards from the end zone. And instead of trying to put your foot on the gas and go get points, you kind of manage it out, see how the drive's going to go, not starting great. You get to halftime up 10-9. That's exactly what Boise State did, knowing they would get the ball to start the second half. the second half drive starts really, really well. Like it looks like they are going to go down and get at the very least a field goal because they were moving the ball pretty good. And Eric McAllister falls down on a play. I don't think it really would have mattered considering the way that it played out, but Taylor throws will look like kind of a really, really bad interception. And I think that was a really crucial part in the game because if Boise State goes and gets points there, UCF heads back to the sideline and once again it says, man, we are outplaying these guys, but we are all of a sudden down either 8 or 4. And now we have to go get points. And so I just think it puts a little more pressure on them and it is a potential game changer. So you do need more. You need more out of this offense. And, you know, it's interesting, BJ, because last year when the offense found success, they started to simplify. I mean, Dirk Cutter joked that after, you know, during the San Diego State game in the second half, they were running like 5 plays, maybe not even that many, and they were just executing. They have to get back to a better level of execution on offense, communication, execution. They have to get back to that. And BJ, I don't know why it all can't click. You know, in the past, it's been, hey, QB play and wide receiver play has been decent, but up front on the line, they haven't been great. Can't open up holes. You know, it's just when is it all going to click? When's it all come together? I believe there's great potential if it does, but we're left waiting to ask when or find out when. You're muted, buddy. I get to ask you tell you that for once.
Why am I muted? What happened there? The Blue and Orange. I was going to let you do the live reads here. I know you love doing that. The blueandorangestore.com, the Blue and Orange Store. Check them out. Free shipping, any order over $40. Or check them out. Those Taylor Green NIL hats. I saw Mike Sanford already sporting one last night. The Script Ashton Genty hat. So they have those exclusively from New Era at the Blue and Orange Store.com. You need a job? Check out Transportation Compliance Service. They can help you every step of the way get into the trucking industry. Check them out. Transcomservice.com. The DOT overweight permits. Everything from the Amazon truck in your neighborhood to the big rig on the screen. They can help you. Check them out at TCS Transportation Compliance Service. And Lean Feast. I'll be heading over there here pretty soon. Got to get some meals for the week. Go check out Lean Feast. Tell Dave you heard him talking about it on BNN. They'll hook you up. The best in meal prep. You can go in there and get one meal, put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. You're eating steak and shrimp, or you can get, up to 10 meals or as many as you want. But they're good for up to 5 days in the microwave, in the fridge. You just pop them in the microwave, fully customizable. You pick how much of what you want, and you get a carb, you get a protein, and you get a veggie, and love it over there at Lean Feast. So we appreciate Dave and his staff. Check them out at leanfeast.com/Meridian. Okay, Jay, final couple of minutes here. I wanted to ask you one realignment question with the lawyer thing yesterday, the thing, but a lot of people were asking about Markel Reed. I know we're going to talk to him today. You were asking a couple questions about him in the press conference. Your thoughts on Markel Reed and from game 1 to game 2, he's getting healthier, and I think we're finding out when he's healthy, he's a pretty darn good corner.
Yeah, I think he makes a difference on that defense. I think, Jalen Clark has done a pretty good job so far this season, but I just think this team needs Markel Reed to be healthy and to play a lot of football for them. And you saw a snap count go from 7 to 39. I think that's accurate. It might be a couple snaps off, but that's a huge spike for him. And Andy Avila said after that first game that they would have to ease him back into action. So if you can go from 7 to 39, I'd expect the potential of a bigger jump this week, and more Markel Reed is not a bad thing for this defense.
All right, final thing, and we'll talk to Markel today. We'll get that up. You'll have a feature, I'm sure, on KTVB. We'll get it on BNN as well. But we saw the lawyer yesterday, or in the emergency hearing for the injunction. The Pac-12 was trying to meet today. They claim just to talk about some other stuff, but they could have quickly voted to dissolve the conference. It was kind of a trick thing that Washington State and Oregon State were like, no. We're not going to have a board meeting. Let you guys vote to dissolve the conference and take all the money on your way out the door. Oregon State, Washington State rightfully argued that once you said you were leaving, you're no longer part of the board of directors. You should not be able to vote or have a say. It was a very scary time, I guess, for Washington State and Oregon State, because if they lose that hearing, again, even though the other schools were trying to argue, we just want to talk about how the conference office is going to be run the rest of the year and how we keep the lights on and stuff.
Keep the lights on.
Yeah, how they keep the lights on.
They've all blown out and crushed every single light on the future of the Pac-12 conference, and they want to make sure that they can talk about how to keep the lights on for the next couple of months. And
they told the judge, that's not on the agenda, but they could have very easily just popped it up and voted real quick and ended the conference and
because
resolved it.
if they get 10, if 10 of the presidents were to vote on something like that, then it would go through.
Yep.
And Washington State and Oregon State would be more screwed than they already are.
Yeah.
They're going to need this money to basically put the programs on life support while they figure out not only their next conference, but how to financially sustain moving on into the future without the financial windfall of the, former Pac-12 deal. And, it could be enough to make it last 2 years, which could be enough for a new TV deal in the Mountain West Conference that with Washington State and Oregon State would be more lucrative. I know that, fans might ask, well, if they're not valuable to the Pac-12 or any other conference, how are they valuable to the Mountain West? I can tell you this: if you're with Washington State, you're probably going to get a chance to rope in the Seattle market, and Washington State pulls huge TV numbers in the Seattle market. They did so this last weekend against Wisconsin, so that would be a lot of eyes in what would be one of the bigger markets. Well, it would be the biggest market in the Mountain West Conference if Washington State and Boise State or Oregon State were to join that league or whatever it looks like for moving forward. It definitely does seem, though, BJ, like there is a growing eagerness to try to figure out how to maintain the Pac-12 conference, and it's not going to be a traditional what we've seen in the past in terms of realignment, because they're going to need a lot of teams. It is going to have to be some form of a merger or something like that. But it could be interesting how quickly it flips too, BJ, because in the Mountain West, 9 presidents have to vote one way in order for a decision to be made. And I've said it since the beginning. The reason why that move would be attractive is not only does the Pac-12 have a more value in terms of its name, but it would allow the teams that would leave the Mountain West to quote unquote trim the fat, and that's a very important part of realignment these days.
Well, and I thought it was funny too because all those other schools are also going to try to get the league to pay them on the way out the door, like to pay them to help with their transition costs, like to go to the new conference. They want the old conference to help pay for that, like all the new logos and new stuff. No, that's not how this works. So good for the judge. And
I can't believe it, because when you divvy up that money amongst the 10 departing schools, it's really not a lot, especially when you consider that they're all going to be making more wherever the heck they go, with the exception of probably Stanford and Cal. I feel like it could have been a PR move. If Washington just came out and said, you know what, Oregon State and Washington State were left in a tough position, whatever's left over, 10 million, I don't even know what the cut would be. Yeah, but if they just came out and said, I know that we're leaving, but we still want to support the conference that we've been in for the last 108 years. We will leave it to them to try to support it, and they have, and not only do they have our public support, but whatever's left in the league, they can have that financial support as well.
That would have made perfect sense and made them look a little better on the way out the door. But instead, they look like greedy bastards trying to get every last penny on the way out the door. Yeah, it's not just Washington, all the schools, but
it makes them look like. Yeah, not just Washington, you're right, all the schools. It makes them look like the Grinch, that after he's taken all the presents and the Christmas tree, and there's like, the one cranberry that falls on the floor, and he even reaches back down out of the chimney to pluck that thing off the ground. It's just, it does. It comes off as great. I think it would be a great PR battle for whoever decides, hey, you know what? Let's just jump on board with him. It's not going to it's not going to cost us anything more to do it. And we might, not get a little money at the end of the day, but it's not going to cost us anything more. So let's just support them and say, you have our support to keep the Pac-12 going. And we're going to leave without asking for you to pay our transition fee to a more lucrative league.
Just gets crazier.
I think they should want the Pac-12
by the day.
I think that they should want the Pac-12 to survive too, because I think we've all seen with realignment, you better make sure you have a plan B.
Well, everyone says, they're going to all these 20 conference super teams in 10 years are just going to break back off into, let's get all the teams in the West together and let's call it something like the Pac-10 or whatever. I mean, it's so frustrating. We'll see what happens. Appreciate you, Jay, as always. I know we got a lot of coverage coming up on KTVB. You and Brady doing a great job. We'll be watching all the various newscasts and things. We've got interviews coming up after practice today. We'll talk to some coaches tomorrow. And you and I'll hook up again on Friday, and we'll really get into the North Dakota matchup and kind of spin this thing forward. But appreciate all the comments, everybody, for checking us out. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Make sure you're a YouTube subscriber as well. Jay, let's get the Mariners going here. The Julio did all he could last night, but let's get things going here. We gotta get the Mariners going towards the playoffs here.
Yeah, they were on such a roll this during the month of August, and now they've kind of cooled a little bit. So you got to push this card across the finish line, get to the postseason, and roll the dice. Our bullpen is absolutely killing us right now, though.
Oh, I'm just hoping Waino can get 199 tonight because he's scheduled to actually pitch the one game in San Diego next weekend that I'll be going to. So maybe I can see 200. I missed out on Pujols hitting 700 by 2. The very next night, he hit 2 home runs to get 700 when we were in San Diego. Maybe Waino's final start in San Diego get us number 200. At least see a little history while we're out there next weekend. Do you know that? The Cardinals are in San Diego, same weekend as Boise State next weekend.
Gosh, I thought about going to the game, and I don't know if the Cardinals will probably pass. Is that a Thursday night game?
Man. No, Saturday. Sticking over.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you down in interviews, Jay. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot. And we'll talk to everybody later. Jordan Kay will be our guest tomorrow. Bronco Nation News Live, bronconationnews.com.